and welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ewan, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Shannon.
Hello.
And James.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about the next Resident Evil game, one of our favourite topics, Nintendo's next console, and Elden Ring adaptations. Maybe we'll spend some more time talking about Elden Ring as well. But first, you'll both be pleased to hear that I've spent some more time with Donkey Kong Country 2.
I'm like,
Very
you didn't
pleased.
even tell.
What are
You
you
didn't
thinking?
talk about that in the pre-show. So
No, I
that's
saved
a
it.
nice
I saved
surprise.
it for the podcast.
Absolutely.
So as we know, this past week we kind of drummed up a little Twitter beef. Me mostly just like antagonizing you, James.
Well, the rest of the community, I feel.
And apparently everyone else too. They were incensed that I described Donkey Kong Country 2 as old. But having spent more time with it and kind of gotten to grips with the mechanics a bit more, I am enjoying it more. I still like... I mean, it's not yet kind of clicked as to like what was so special about it, but
Oh my god.
maybe
Just
we need to bear in mind
doubling
this game came out like a year before I was born.
No,
like-
so? Yeah, well, why are you saying everything got
Timeless.
better?
I think the problem is it's hard. Like, is it hard? Is that where you're finding it? Because I just feel like it is a lot harder than...
No, well, yeah, I mean,
current
like I can
platformers.
appreciate that it was hard, but I'm definitely using like the kind of save state thing on the PlayStation, that lets you kind of scrub back. What's that
On the
called?
PlayStation.
No, on the Switch. Sorry.
Yeah. What are you playing
What-
with? Yeah.
Save
What's
states,
it called?
I think you got
save
to...
states? Yeah. okay.
Rewind, do you mean? Or
The
like-
rewindy sort of thing. Yeah. So that's good because
How
that's just like
far
helping
are
me get
you?
through it a bit.
Can I ask? That's not me gatekeeping.
I got through
but
like the whole like first bit and the first boss fight.
the bird.
The bird. I needed to figure out what the hell I was doing there. Turns out you can hold the throw button and like hold items before you
Oh
throw
my
it. So that
God.
opened up a world of potential.
Ewan. Fuck me.
Get
And
and then I remembered I could switch
yeah.
between the two characters as well, and that also like
Where are we? So, the second world is like the lava world, yeah? From memory?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just try, if you can get to the end of the third world and then tell me that you still don't think it's amazing, I will let you rest. But
Okay.
I genuinely feel like that.
I will
that third
fight
world
you
is so
though,
good.
that like
Oh,
it is
okay.
floaty, James.
I
Like
don't think it's floaty at all. I
it
need
is
people,
like when you jump, you're so slow to like
Yeah.
gain
Some of the
elevation and
detection
slow to come down. I want
is quite
sharp
off.
movement.
I remember. But
And you
I don't know,
you
it's
press
still
like
good.
attack, and it takes like I swear like half a second for the attack to actually start happening.
I just...
Maybe you're using your PlayStation controller and it's not
I just think-
registering.
Maybe
Yeah,
I should
like,
blow
yeah,
the
that's-
dust out
yeah.
of my Switch.
Like, the gap between my brainstem and the rest of my brain isn't as big as yours, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm watching it now, and like it could use a redo. I think like it does.
Oh,
I
I've
just
converted
could.
Shannon.
It could be a better game. No, it is. It's a great game. It's timeless. But then again, it's our childhood, so it's just different.
I have to
guess.
imagine at the time, like the graphics were kind of unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like-
Unmatched.
They were. They
It-
made Nintendo jealous back in the day because it was just these, rare, like
Yeah.
these British people in a farm, in a barn.
Yes,
Like,
quite
that's
literally.
literally was how
In
they
the
made the
Birmingham
game.
countryside, I've been there.
And then these Japanese, the Nintendo was like, "What is this?" And they got jealous. But yeah, I don't know. I think I played it like 2 years ago with a friend who like hadn't played them either, and I thought
Yeah.
they were still fine. And he's like pretty sensitive to stuff as well, like being old. And he thought it was alright. So
I
that's
feel
why
like
I'm.
it'd be fun to kind of play with you, James, and like you show
Oh,
you,
yeah.
like if you go up here, you can get
could
the
be. I
secret
don't know.
and try this and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
It depends.
Um,
I get upset sometimes.
yeah.
So yeah.
I did also fire up Metroid Zero Mission 2.
That's hot.
And I got through like a couple of upgrades in there.
Enjoying that?
But then, loving that. I actually reminded myself that I have played it once before. I think I downloaded it on 3DS. But I guess
Yeah,
it was
maybe.
the original rather
Virtual
than Zero
Console?
Mission. Maybe.
Might have been Virtual Console. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. But I remembered the first stage, and as soon as I loaded it in, I was like, I think you go left at the start. And that was the big thing about that game, right?
I think every game now, though, like every
Yeah.
Metroid game, starts with go left.
Go
that's,
left.
and that's like
Yeah.
a cool throwback to what they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for so long you just played a platform and went right. I know that
Yeah.
sounds ridiculous to think about, but like that was the thing with Metroid. It was just like so open.
Yeah. Shannon, you watching the videos of the game now?
No, that. Never mind. Move on. That was me
Blowing
getting
up
excited.
a balloon or something.
It's the noise I make.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Did you
Look,
finish Prime, Ewan? Before we move on,
I
obviously
did finish
that's
Prime.
what started
yes.
this
Yeah.
whole debacle.
I'm very much having like a Metroidvania year. I'm loving it. The Lost Crown was awesome. What else did I play?
Animal
Well. Amazing. Went back, finished Prime Remastered. I've convinced my mum to play it as well, and she's making really good progress in the game.
It's random, but interesting.
Fantastic game. So good. And now I'm so hyped for Prime 4 as well. I love, like, there's so much more to the story than I think people would appreciate from, like, a surface-level understanding of Metroid. I will say I was disappointed by the final boss fight, though, James. Like, I thought the boss fight prior with Meta Ridley was great, but then when you fight the actual Metroid Prime, I was a bit like, this is a bit...
I'm excited for you to play. I hope they remaster 2 and 3, like in a September direct or something this year to get you ready for 4, because there are some really amazing...
It'll be like 10 years. And
there are some amazing boss battles across all those games.
Yeah.
So
I would like to play 3, because that was the one on the Wii, right?
Yeah, it's the worst one. But yes.
I definitely played a bit of it, though, but I don't think I finished it.
It's so average compared to the first 2. But, yeah.
It was the kind of game I played when I was like, I want a first-person shooter because my elder cousin plays Call of Duty, and that looks rad, but I'm only allowed M-rated games, so I will get Metroid on the Wii.
Yeah, right. Well, that opening scene was like COD-ish. It was the beginning of the end, but we'll see.
Look, I'm definitely stretching out this cold opening, but James, I do need to ask you about the Elden Ring injury that you got. Do you want to share that with the class?
Not really, but we can. So I played Elden Ring, as we all know, Shadow of the Erd Tree expansion, as we discussed.
Yeah.
And obviously I was talking about difficulty last week, and this week I really felt that because I spent a solid 5 to 6 hours on the final boss. And I'm really stubborn. Like, it's my own fault. I don't summon. I've played with the same build from the beginning of my Elden Ring journey to the end. Like, I've never respect. Yeah, so all of my mistakes are my own, and I own them. I don't know why I've made it so hard for myself, but anyway, because of that, I was playing for 5 hours very intensely. And I woke up the next day, and I was like, oh, something is wrong with my finger. Like,
I don't believe it. Still, that's what caused it. I feel like you play enough games so that your hands would withstand anything.
Nah, but I don't. Yeah, it's the gripping of the controller, like, because you're so hyper focused.
Yeah.
I was saying to you, and the last time this happened was 2013. So with Dead Space 3 and Metal Gear Rising. So yeah, I'm better now, but I haven't played games for a while. Like, I've taken a good 5 to 6 days off. Was worried that I might have to get it cut off at some point. So, what do I have to get amputated? What if I permanently damage my finger?
Elden Ring legitimately hurt you. Have you beat the final boss now?
Yeah, I did. I did it, absolutely.
Nice.
Of course I did.
Duh.
But I was playing, like, if anyone knows, like, I was playing Intelligence Build as well, and I feel like this DLC is really not for intelligence people. So, yeah, if you're playing Faith or anything else, you're going to have a better time than I did. But yeah, really good. Not as good as the base game, as I've said before, but worth breaking a finger over, almost. So,
and did you kind of still agree, because last week we were kind of talking about it being too hard, like, given it took you that many hours to beat the final boss, like, do you still feel the same way about the game, or is it in a better place now, post-update?
Yeah, I still think it is, like, pretty tough, but I feel like it's just a very steep, like, at that first 5 hours or 10 hours or whatever, I do feel like it's very unforgiving, but once you kind of find your groove with it, like, I think it's fine, you know?
Okay.
Like, I don't think it's that bad. I still spent longer on pre-patch Millennia, like, in the base game, so, that final boss, man, I agree, like, I think it is one of the hardest they've ever done. Something just so aggressive.
I did watch some gameplay because I'm not kidding myself that I'm going to get to playing the game myself anytime soon. And yeah, it looked pretty nuts.
That's pretty fucked. He just keeps coming at you like non-stop.
The aggression's nuts, yeah, and like massive like area of effect attacks too. So like you got to keep a distance, and like how you meant to get to him and land an attack.
Like it gets way worse.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it's unreal. Has anyone played any of the First Descendant? This is the other thing I want to discuss before we really get into the news. Are you following the discussion around the First Descendant?
I have had 2 people reach out to me about playing it.
Okay.
I've yet to approve the requests, but
they're in your tray.
See where it. Literally. I'll see where it fits in my busy schedule.
Yeah.
No, I have said to people like once I'm not injured, I can probably give it a shot. But I have heard good things.
Liked Outriders, right?
I did. I like Remnant. I've got a. Is it like Remnant at all?
I didn't get around to playing Remnant, but I imagine so based on what I've heard. It certainly reminds me of Outriders, that's for sure. Like, it's very kind of just paint by numbers, kind of looter shooter, but with like pretty solid gun play mechanics. Is it free to play or no? It is free to play, which has kind of become a point of contention because although I'm like just like deeply
suspicious of free to play things now. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that surprises me.
That I'm suspicious?
I haven't really paid that much attention. I've been able to like get away from it, but there is supposedly like a ton of monetization in there. Microtransactions.
Skins or guns? Or what?
A bit of everything, and I think the characters as well. Like you're presented with 3 characters at the start that you can pick from, and I believe like whatever you don't choose are then put behind a paywall. I've just kind of heard that anecdotally. That's not been my own experience with it, but yeah, look, I've had a good time with it so far. I'm like a few hours in. Already the missions are starting to feel a bit repetitive. I'm looking for a bit more variety in some of the boss encounters. But like I think the kind of world and the story is like serviceable in terms of keeping going. And the progression loop is kind of strong enough that it's like maintaining my interest for now. But it is still pretty early days. I was curious if either of you were keen to give it a go. Another game though where optimization is a problem.
Yeah, it looks janky, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a free game, so like you've got to give it a pass for that, I think. And I guess like you can somewhat forgive it for that, maybe.
Okay.
But
we'll see.
I was playing on PC. The mate I was playing with was playing on PS5, and we were like experiencing frame rate drops at the same sort of time. And it, like for me, it was like properly locking up at points where like the screen would freeze for a solid second or two. So virtually unplayable. I managed to tinker over the settings enough to kind of get it going, but it was like a matter of finding the sweet spot rather than just like downgrading it. Yeah, it's an odd one. Anyhow, we really should crack on with the news. And because I've not heard enough from Shannon yet, I'm going to start with the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster and get your feeling on this. We spoke about it a little bit last week, but that was, of course, before the Capcom Next presentation happened. They lifted the lid on the upcoming remaster of the original Dead Rising after teasing it, and it is indeed launching September 19th, as they confirmed prior. We've got to look at the game, though, with the gameplay trailer that they showed. What did you make of it, Shannon? You excited to go back into it?
Yeah, it looks great. I think it's one of those things where, like, this is how I remember it looking, like, just from watching this, but it's not. And then you go back and play it, and it obviously doesn't look like this. So, yeah, it looks fantastic. I think we spoke about it last week or the week before. Like, loved this game when it came out. Loved how inventive it was. And I'm really keen to go back and play it. I was kind of hoping like they'd maybe self-drop it or something. I still don't really understand the announced schedule of this one, but yeah, September. It's already July, which is crazy, but I can't wait to go back. I think a lot of people are going to be playing this for the first time, and I hope that it does well enough to them continue the series, because it's a good one.
It sounds like kind of the direction the series headed. It's kind of probably ripe for a bit of a reboot and a reset. Did you get into the later games?
I played them all. I don't remember a lot about them. I don't know, that this one had something special about it. It was set in a mall. I'm probably going to be way off, but I don't think the others were set in like a mall in this kind of situation, were they, James? Or were they all set in a mall? I can't remember.
No. So first one was a mall. Second one was Vegas.
Yeah.
third one was...
Third one Mexico or something? Or am I
No,
totally
it was-
making that
it was
up?
The world, it was like an apocalyptic world.
Okay.
I don't know if it was Mexico. I think the main character was
thinking of
Mexican, if that's...
Okay.
The fourth one was like a mall during Christmas, and it was like
Christmas, I remember
that.
a really desperate attempt to like go back to what the original was, but it was shit.
Yeah, I think we've spoken. What made this special is like you could pick up anything, you could go into anything. Like it felt like a really lived-in mall experience that had been taken over, and I can't think of anything else that has done it this well, apart from like maybe GTA, but even not as well as this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it was just super interactive, and yeah, I just think they moved away from that a little bit too much and just played into the wrong areas. I guess you couldn't just keep doing them all, so I'm not shaming them for trying something different, but this one was definitely special. And even watching it again now, like it just, you can tell that there's nothing else like it on the market, even though there are more zombie games than there were when this came out. I'll stand by that comment.
But yeah, this one's kind of got
agree.
like a unique flavor to it, I guess.
Yeah, it's just fun. Like, I want to play it right now. And I think I was telling James, like, not a lot of games get me excited in that way anymore. Like, I don't really want to play Elden Ring and, like, spend hours in the same boss or spend hours without doing anything in a game. Like, this, you pick it up, it's just pure fun. You can muck around, you can accomplish nothing, and it's still, you're going to have a fun time with it. And I just don't think there's many games like that anymore. That
You
are
don't have
pure
long
fun
to
in
wait.
this way.
Like, September's going to be around in no time.
I'll be here. I'll be waiting.
And already I feel like that month is kind of like filling up with a few releases too. James, are you pleased to see the RE engine kind of being utilized again as well? Kind of teeing up our next conversation as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't expect
be in
them
every
not
game.
to use it. Yeah, it doesn't every game there's use it now, but
It's just a
Strange
great
question,
engine.
Ewan.
I'm pleased to see it used. Speaking of Resident Evil...
no. Well, we
Did
can
you
move
want
on.
to answer the question? You just insulted it, and then
Well, because it was a weird question. I'm just going to talk about the game. I think it looks really good. I'm glad they stuck to their guns. There's still a timer. I'm surprised they haven't cracked it open and maybe added co-op or something. But I am glad that it is the original game. Just looks better. I love the RE engine aesthetic. I feel like it has a vibe to it that's like very, like, if you look at all those games together, they look the same in a way, which is really cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and like Shannon said, and I agree with him, like, even though he kind of stepped back a bit from it, is like, I do genuinely feel like there is nothing like this. Like, there's so many zombie games that have come out since, but nothing's really touched kind of the fun goofiness that Dead Rising gives you. Yeah, so I'm excited. It's really cool. When you pick up your first katana in that game, like, it's such a good time.
I'm shocked they're going with remaster, because I feel like, I don't know, it feels remade. I can't see how it's not remade, given it's running on a different engine.
In my humble opinion, I feel like Capcom is using the word correctly. Like, it's the same game, just souped up. Whereas a remake is like, you know, building again from the ground up, you know? Like, you will still hit...
I feel like if it's on a different engine, it has to be remade. Like, you can't remaster it on a different engine.
We're not... I don't even want to talk about this anymore. Like,
I did one trimester in game design. What do you have to bring to the table?
I have real experience from the school of hard knocks.
Look, I'm complimenting it because I feel like it's more than a remaster. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Like, it's not a remake, it's not a remaster.
Because everyone looks at games like it doesn't matter what other games we can talk about. But, you know, like, in terms of, it's not like Resident Evil 4 where if you play those two games side by side, like the OG and the remake, they go in pretty different, like, similar but different directions, right? That's the difference. It's not, whereas with this, it does look like it's the same survivors, the same beats, everything's exactly the same.
Not the same voice actor though, so...
Well, I mean, I don't care about that. Like, people, you know, it's time to move on.
I'm gonna make a quick pitch. I think what we should do, right? We have the remaster, which is just like kind of, you know, up-resing a game, basically. Maybe chucking in some new textures, making it
like...
Nah, a port is like taking it from one console to another, or PC to a console, or...
That's a port.
That's what I'm saying. That's what a port is. A remaster is like
you can buy
upgrading the visual fidelity of the game. A remake, I reckon, is like ground up. We're remaking the game one for one with all of our latest tech and stuff. I feel like we need a third tier, which is like a reimagined kind of thing, in where like you put your Resident Evil 2 you put your Final Fantasy VII, those kind of things where it's
I agree with you, Ewan.
We're doing the game again, but with a twist. We're doing
what if a game is that
differently.
perfect that you just want to remake it with new graphics, but you don't need to change anything? Like The Last of Us.
That is what in my mind a remake should be. But the term remake is being co-opted. It's actually a reimagining. There's my pitch.
I agree. Anyway, let's move on before on that note. Final. You guys, I'm excited for this. I like Lost Planet. Like I loved Lost Planet games as well. Like they were some of my favorites.
Do you want a remake or a reimagining of those?
Why not both?
All right. What was next? What else were we talking about? Resident Evil. Resident Evil 7 director Koshi Naganishi will direct Resident Evil 9. It has been confirmed. Hopefully I got the pronunciation correct. That was why I was pausing a little bit after the name. James, coming to you first on this. What direction would you like to see them take Resident Evil 9? Considering everything we kind of know, I guess, about like the Ethan Winters story from 7 and 8.
I don't actually know. I don't know what I want. I think all I want is maybe something like of the last two original games, like between 7 and 8. Like I definitely want something closer to 7, just in terms of the horror of it.
So it excites you to have the director on board for this, then?
Yes. Which is funny because like he made the game that I hate the most as well. So like he directed
which is that?
Revelations 1. I can't fucking stand it.
Really? Why?
Because it's just so like the characters suck. It's like trying to be horror, but it's not. Like it was in between like RE5, 6, and 7, but it was before 7 existed, right? So like I don't know. I think people like it just because it was closer to the old ones, but it wasn't. Like it's just shit.
I liked it.
Like. No, it's awful.
I liked it for what it was on like the DS.
Like
the DS.
Irredeemable. But like, I think, amazing tech for a DS game, obviously. But anyway, not the point. Not what we're talking about. But I think it's great that he's directing this as well. And I feel like it's also great that he's really talked about what didn't work for the series between 6 and 7 especially.
Yeah.
So like it makes me really like, I guess, confident that it is in good hands. People are, I don't know if you guys agree or not, but a lot of people are saying that they should really just ditch all the old characters and start fresh. And I feel like they were definitely going that way with 7 and then kind of chickened out last minute. When
did they get introduced? Was that in the DLC for 7 or did that happen in the base game?
When did who get introduced?
Chris.
Chris. When did he
Chris
appear?
was in the ending of 7.
7, yeah, okay. Oh, and then you played as him in one of the DLCs, right?
In the free, there was a free DLC afterwards.
Yeah.
And then obviously he was in Village as well.
I get both sides of it. Like, I love that there's a deep lore for people like James, who, in his Resident Evil t-shirt, wants to just soak all of that up. But yeah, it doesn't really do anything for me personally. Like, I love from Resident Evil 4 onwards. Like, I don't really have a care for Chris and stuff. So I don't know. I don't feel like it leans too much into it to the point you can't enjoy the games though either.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and I love. But that being said, like I think the story that Ethan and Mia and stuff followed from 7 to Village was really good.
Yeah,
and I think there was like the kind of theories. Like even like I could talk to Shannon about the story. Which was rare for me to be able to do so. But like we had like theories when we were going into Village and stuff, and that was like exciting. That reminded me a lot of back in the day when 5 was coming out, and there was a lot of theories and stuff going around, and I really missed that from games.
Yeah,
because a lot of games I feel now are like you don't have to replay the last one because they're scared people won't buy it. Like it just seems to be always the thing.
Yeah.
So I really hope 9 still has returning characters. I'm still sticking by my guns that it's Jill and Leon because I feel like they haven't been together before, and they're both very popular characters.
Just to put a split in that, I do think they need to remake the original one again as well. I know it's been remade and everything's been remade and remastered and reimagined at this point, but I do feel like the original one, like I've never played it, like, and I don't really want to in its current format. Well, to be honest,
I think you should try, maybe.
If I'm playing Donkey Kong Country,
I'm not going to get through it. Yeah, but don't you agree? Like that's where it all started. Like. No, I know the story from the movie.
In a way, I agree.
Is it really consequential to the this might be blasphemous, but like I feel like playing from 2, like you kind of follow enough of like what's happened.
No, so what happens is like pretty much like so. Resi 1 is like Jill and Chris. Resi 2 is like Claire and Leon, right?
Yeah.
So they're already kind of following 2 different characters. But 2 is taking place kind of during the aftermath of 1.
Yeah.
So, like Claire is looking for Chris, right? And something happens in 1, which I'm not going to ruin for you because you might play it one day, and that kind of sets up a bad guy who carried through the whole series. Across
I've seen the movies, so I know.
Oh, don't! Oh my god! That's not the
Actually,
same
maybe that's why I'm thinking I know.
Didn't we watch it together?
Anyway, shut up. So, like, obviously, like across those 5 movies, there was a villain, and that's why I think a 5 remake maybe kind of isn't the right idea when there's 2 games kind of before that could really feed into that.
I love that you said 5 movies instead of 5 games.
Did I? Sorry. Well, that's because. I don't. It's not inconsequential, is what I'm trying to say. Well, I feel like there is a very good plot thread throughout all of them. Kind of weird and over the top, but like genuinely quite compelling at the same time.
Going back to RE9, I'm super excited for it. Like, Resident Evil 7 was kind of my in point for everything Resident Evil at this point in time. Like, I went back and played 2 and 3, and then obviously Village as well. I don't think I was as down on Village as people kind of seem to be now. Maybe it's kind of a bit like revisionist, but people seem to kind of have more criticism for 8 kind of like in the years afterwards.
I think because obviously the last third, I should say, is very action heavy.
Yeah,
right.
I think the game's bloated.
I think it was a fun time.
Yeah, the highlights of the game kind of come earlier. But I loved 7 kind of leaning into the Southern Gothic sort of horror, and then you kind of had it leaning really heavily into like European folklore in 8.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of hope they do something similar, like thematically, where they kind of lean into the horror theme of like a different
Singapore, so it could be like Asian folklore in a way.
Yeah, cool.
I think potentially.
I reckon that'd be super interesting.
Yeah.
And as for like the other characters coming in, like I like the sense of there being a bigger story and the games all being interconnected, but I don't think it needs to be too heavy-handed in that. Like, if it is kind of a cameo later in the game or something, I think that's probably sufficient.
But even Chris in Village, right? Like, if you didn't know about him in older games, which, like, I'm trying to think, Ewan, have you ever played a Chris game yet? I don't think you have, right?
No.
Because you played 2, 3.
2, 3, what he is in 7.
And 4.
Yeah. Is Chris 5? I can't even remember.
Chris is like 1.
Oh, sorry, I have played 4 remake as well. Is he
Chris
in 4?
Is 1. He's in... No. So he's in 1, Code Veronica, and 5, right? So, like, for him to be in, 7 and 8, like, even though he has, like, quite a main role, especially in Village, he doesn't... You don't feel left out, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Like, there's no remakes with Chris in them. It's really odd now that I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah, he's kind of just like a side character, really.
Even though he's, like, been the most prominent returning character in 7 and 8.
Obviously, we're definitely wading into spoiler territory for Village, but, like, presumably Ethan Winters won't play much of a role, if any, in 9.
He might, though.
We don't know for sure, right? That was kind of left open.
Yeah, I suppose.
I feel like there
was the theory
the
about, like,
works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, there was like theories about the character at the end of, like, in the final cutscene potentially being him because they moved the camera out or something, right?
I feel like the DLC closed that book. Though,
that's what I was going to say.
Hard, right?
Yeah, I haven't played it. I need to.
Slammed it shut on your fingers, Shannon.
But like, maybe the Mega My Seat, the idea of that, like, gets explored more. I'm done.
Here we go.
Surely you've got to love,
we've started talking about the Mega My Seat. It's over. Yeah. No, that's good. See, that's what I love about Resident Evil. It's like, this is going to sound like so boomer, but like, I was talking about shit like the G virus and the T virus and the T Veronica virus on forums, like you are now, you. But that's what was exciting about it, and that's why I kind of hope they don't just ditch all the lore. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you've got all of that knowledge to theorize on top of. But
yeah. I think it sounds like the director's kind of got an exciting idea behind the game. He kind of indicated as much. I think like that. We haven't really touched on it here as well, but the insider Dust Golem kind of took to the internet to kind of talk about some of the leaks, tipped the game to be releasing in early 2025, which is kind of surprisingly soon. I'd be surprised if that were the case. But they added that the development of the game started in 2018, so some time ago, in theory, with the intention of it being the 8th game, but that it was then pushed back as Resident Evil Village developed to be more than kind of a spin-off game. It became a fully fledged thing. So that excites me as well. Like, assuming that's true, although Dust Golem does have some reputation behind them. Like, that excites me that this is a pretty like fleshed out game that's had a lot of time sort of put into it and a lot of thought put into it. So yeah, excited. We better crack on though. Oh gosh, there's more topics to discuss than I thought we had today. Nintendo is making sure there's enough Switch 2 stock to combat scalpers. So they've kind of come out and said that in an effort to combat scalpers, they're going to make sure that they've got enough stock on hand to kind of meet day one demand, which is a bit of a change of pace, I suppose, because I don't remember it with the Switch as badly, but certainly like when the PS5 came out, that was a nightmare. I think the Switch was, but maybe to a lesser extent. Granted, it wasn't contending with COVID in the same way that the PS5 was. Shannon, do you think they can outweigh the demand that this console is likely to have?
The first one was really popular, and I don't recall that selling out at all, to be honest, which is, kind of...
The Switch?
Unusual compared to... the first Switch I don't remember selling out at all. I might be wrong.
Maybe we had a better time of it here than other countries did. I don't know.
I think we did.
It probably did sell
Australia.
out, but it wasn't... Like, you just went on
like
a second list and then waited.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a year without being able to buy one. I think there will be significant demand, but I think that all the parts they're using aren't in shortage. I think that's where Nintendo have a lot of luck, and I think, we don't need to go into it too deep, but like the PS5 and the Xbox launched at a time where part shortages were a thing, and just insane demand that I don't think we'll see here, to be honest. And I do think they've been working towards this launch for the last 18 months, and Nintendo will want to have a Switch for everyone that wants one. So I think they'll be well prepared for it. It's been a long time in the making. And I think that they will have been working towards whatever date they are with good reason and wanting to move as many as they can. So I trust in that.
Given this is like tipped to be a more powerful console, do you think it can kind of maintain being like a lower cost console compared to the likes of the PS5 and Xbox Series X?
Yeah, I think Nintendo's in a unique example, even compared to definitely Xbox, but even PlayStation, in the sense that, like, we know and we've spoken about how they sell all of their games for $80 and no one really questions it, and they're selling millions of every game, or like 10 to 20 million of more popular games. So I don't know, Nintendo's a weird one where the Switch has never really dropped in price. Like, it's had sale drops, but like if you're to buy a Switch now, it's still $400 to $500 8 years into its life cycle. So I think they will not go too much above that, to be honest, because I think it's the sweet spot where they want that casual audience or that mum to be able to buy it for their family at Christmas. And they
that
want
mum.
just that mum,
Ewan's mum,
in particular, the famous.
If my mum wants to buy me a new Switch for Christmas, I'll take it.
They're not going to sell it at a loss. I don't think that's Nintendo. They don't do that. But I think they can cut it fine to the point that they know that you're going to buy a Zelda or a Mario or a Metroid with it, or whatever it is, Joy-Cons or a case.
Fire Emblem.
And they're going to make their money back. Yeah. Well, no, not Fire Emblem. That don't. I don't know. I'm keen to see things like the price, because I just want like a 4K Switch. I don't want them to like skimp, because we have waited 5 years beyond when we thought we were getting a Pro. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I really hope they just go for it with this one.
I don't think I'm looking for... It's funny how like I've changed tone on this, but I don't think I'm looking for anything crazy like different to kind of what we've got now.
No.
Like if it was just
like PS4 Pro levels.
Yeah. Like if it
levels.
had just a bit more oomph and kind of close the gap between it and say like a Steam Deck or like kind of, you know, any number of these portable PCs we get now, I'd be pretty pleased with that. Like I find myself constantly toying with the idea of getting a Steam Deck and kind of putting it off to wait and see what this Switch is. And if it closes that gap like reasonably at a lower cost and still has all the Nintendo first party games, I reckon that'd be killer.
It's a hard one. I feel like I fell out of love with the Switch for a bit just because I was reviewing like the PC handhelds for the last like 18 months, like which can play anything. But like going back to the Switch with Paper Mario and Luigi's Mansion recently, like it is just nice to have like 7 hours of battery life, and like it just does things so well compared to all the other handhelds.
Yeah. Like if they could improve the analog sticks, that'd be a huge win for me. Like things like that.
And like if every AAA game was on it, I really think I would just take a graphic card over like a solid experience that I wasn't needing to update every 2 seconds with graphic drivers and a battery life that lasted more than 45 minutes. So
yeah.
For me, it's not the Nintendo games. It's like we're not getting any third-party stuff on it now, and I don't want that to be a thing next gen.
Yeah.
We say this every gen, but like there's an action opportunity to have it be good in that realm, in my opinion.
Yeah. But, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
But
pretty content with it
They
just
don't
being
care
like an
about it.
indie machine, so and first party, so. But like the
I
first
agree.
party games, like the next Zelda that's, you know, Tears of the Kingdom Elk, like I want that to like look and play beautifully. Like that's kind of, I hope it's powerful enough to do that. James, have you got any thoughts on this move to combat scalping?
Not really.
No.
So
I think
solid
as long
ploy,
as-
make enough consoles, no scalping.
Yeah.
Just I think obviously that just comes out of people really wanting it, which I think will happen regardless.
Yeah.
But then also they're not being supplied from primary sources, so as long as they
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised actually to see if Nintendo is strict with retailers about enforcing purchasing limits. Do you know what I mean? Like,
hard to
they have
stop, I think,
been
with online.
before, right?
I agree, like, but I think like of all the publishers, Nintendo can maybe be a little bit more strict or stringent with people somehow. Like
In saying all of this, like if they can oversell like 1 million units or undersell 1 million units, like any company would take it selling out and like having stock shortages within reason.
Yeah.
Not to PS5 and Xbox Series X levels, but like you would be happy with it exceeding expectations. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes down.
Yeah, and Nintendo's been accused of creating like artificial supply shortages in the past as well. So,
yeah, but is that like true? Like, I don't.
I feel
Mario.
like the Wii
Like-
that was particularly pronounced. This
I
is a
think the
change in
Wii,
tone
though,
as well.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
I
hard
don't
to know, right? Because
I
like, the
don't-
demand for that was insane.
I do wonder if like it's going to have the same appeal as the Switch does. If it's just better visuals, like, I feel like that's not
I
necessarily.
just think we can see it going either way, right? Like, it's not a sure thing. It's a sure thing for us. It's not a sure thing for your average Joe.
It just
to
depends on
upgrade
their-
day one.
It just depends on their strategy with like how backwards compatibility works or forwards compatibility works. Like people have to make the jump. Obviously, with Wii U, like there was like no hope of sticking with the Wii U. People would have to jump to Switch. But like I feel like with Switch to Switch 2, like there's going to be that's a very different dynamic.
I think a lot of it will come down to branding. Like I think it'll be
Yeah,
very much
yeah.
pitched
Switch
as like
U,
a
as they
new
call it.
console. Oh God, I
It
hope
needs
not.
to be like Switch 2. The more I think about it, the more I just think it.
I reckon that's
I think
the
Super
wrong way to
Nintendo
go.
Switch is still really cool. Like I love that. It's like kind of cool. It's like
I think
NES, Super
I think
NES.
they need to
but
pit. Maybe Switch 2 works. Like
no,
I sort
Switch
of feel
2
like
is shit.
yeah,
Like,
I
are you
don't
saying
think it'll
it's-
be that.
oh,
I
okay.
do like
It's just
Super.
you can't go wrong with that. Like you can't go wrong with PS5. Like
Yeah,
Oh, I see what you mean.
after
get
the
that.
PS4.
Yeah.
that's
Why don't
what
they
they
just call
would
it
need to
Nintendo-
do. That sort of
Nintendo 2?
energy.
Like-
Nintendo 2.
Everyone's
just-
always like, "Have you got the Nintendo around?"
Like,
you know,
does
it's
anyone
my
else?
grandma
It's probably
voice.
just me. Like, does anyone else get anxiety for when this actually does finally start happening and like it gets announced and then pre-orders are like that day? Like, I just have a weird
that'll
energy
just
because it's
happen
been
like any day.
well, it's Nintendo. Like, it could be tweeted in 30 minutes and it wouldn't surprise me with
I mean,
no
I think that's a
warning.
unique anxiety to like us having to like report on it and make sure the articles are up. And
Maybe.
Not
stuff.
even
But-
as customers. Like, what if we don't get one? But that's also-
Well, the
True, actually,
PS5,
We got so
no one
expected
PS5.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you weren't up at 7:30 a.m., you didn't get one for like 2 years.
Or 5:30
potentially.
Remember
WA.
in the
Like,
US,
yeah,
the showcase happened, and then they kind of said pre-orders would be live tomorrow. So everyone in the US went to bed, and by the time they woke up, they're all sold out by the people that like stayed up past midnight.
And the rest is history. That's my legacy. Cemented.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting close, I feel, to something happening.
It's exciting that even Nintendo is talking about shit like this. But also, like, just announce it, you dickheads.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I feel like it's only going to be a couple of months away before we hear it.
We're gonna
But
that's.
are they going to announce it before Christmas though? That's going to be the weird thing.
They have to show it if it's in production at the levels they're saying. Like it's going to leak.
Otherwise,
in terms of what
leak,
it looks
yeah.
like. So they're going to have to just show a teaser and what it's called, in my opinion.
It's just going to be so confusing for like the
11
casual
PM
audience
tonight.
if they announce it before Christmas and then everyone goes in and goes,
Everyone
"No,
has a
it's
Switch.
Nintendo."
Like nobody's
one
in the
knows.
market for a Switch at this point in life.
People are. I don't want to talk for everyone, but
No, but people
It
want
won't
the
be
new
confusing.
one. If they announce it before Christmas, people will want the new one. And
I feel like if you're in the market for a Switch at $300, you're going to buy it 8 years later.
like it's not like the people who are in the market for a Switch now are caring about the newest Switch.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't have 4K.
yeah, but no, it's like,
But
well, you waited 8 years.
it's gonna get like mainstream news coverage though. Like, you know, on ABC
Yeah.
News Breakfast, they're gonna be going, "Oh, Nintendo announced their latest
Mario's
console
about-
today." Yeah,
Nah, the people that
And
want it
people
will
just
just think,
catch
oh, the
that
Switch
and
will be
go,
cheaper.
Hell yeah, that's my Christmas shopping sorted. I'll go and get that for the
But that's
grandchild.
why that's not a bad thing for them though if they do that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's fine.
Well, yeah, it's great for Nintendo, but I just feel
then
bad
people-
for the EB Games staff that have to then field all the
you have
questions
to feel
and go,
bad for
They'll live.
anybody in particular.
live.
They'll be
"But I
fine.
saw it on ABC." It's like, yes, it's been
Take a break
announced,
from
but it's
selling
not
your
out until
home
March.
edge merch.
Oh, you waffle makers. With some.
Can I interest you
But
in this
real
waffle
talk.
maker instead?
Yeah, well, also people might be like, well, I want Mario for Christmas for my little boy, and then they'll buy a Switch, and then they buy a Switch 2 next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah,
is a
maybe.
thing that might happen anyway. Like I feel like that. I know what you're saying, Ewan, but I also think like it's been
It's gonna be
fucking
confusing no
almost
matter
a decade. Like there's no good way to do it.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. They have to.
You
announce
do it in
before
Jan,
the
and then people have
manufacturing.
just bought a Switch, and now there's little Jimmy's annoyed because there's a Switch too.
It's
Yeah.
like, what about all the people who bought Mirage and then find out Shadow's coming out this year? Like, they're like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Or you can play it on the Mac 6 weeks later.
yeah.
They could have
Yeah.
bought it on.
Yeah. It's more so like the timing of it, but I'm sure it's been done before, and I'm sure the EB Games staff
I
can
think
survive.
the Switch is going to still do well at Christmas, and so are all the games they've got coming. So I think they're going to have to bite the bullet, and it feels like a good time
Yeah,
this week.
put your pre-orders down for Christmas. You know, people can wait. All right, one final question. Let's try and make this one quick because I'm conscious we're going long. But George R.R. Martin has been teasing an Elden Ring adaptation. I think he took to his blog or his website or something and was kind of just
Some
like
panel somewhere.
raving
I don't know.
about a bunch of stuff. Not writing books. He should spend more time writing books than his blog, I reckon. But anyhow, James, as someone playing a bit of Elden Ring, as we talked about at the start of the show, what sort of adaptation would you like to see of the game?
Anything really. I mean, I know there's an anime coming, but yeah. I mean,
Is there an
I
anime
would
coming?
watch.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there is. There's some kind of animated project. The teaser was Millennia, so
Cool.
I think the lore and the world is like rich.
Back
So
in
like,
May.
I think there are a lot of people who would really like the story of Elden Ring. That don't want to watch a 40-minute video on how like 2 sentences on a potion, like can have this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's so much like really like big like lore reaching going on in a lot of these videos, which is like cool for like us sweaties, but like for real normal people, that's probably not the best way to consume a story. So
Yeah.
I think like I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
There's a sense of FOMO for me from not like having played enough of the game to like I feel like I am missing out
But
this
that's the
really
thing,
grand
though,
story
like,
and lore.
Ewan, I feel like you could finish it and like the person. There's no way for me to say this without sounding shady, but like the person that you are, I don't think it would really sink in. Like I'm not being an asshole. Like
I don't have the
idiot.
attention span. You're right.
I genuinely feel like you won't know what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
and because you don't have the time to like go and watch some videos that unpack it all, and everyone's names are like the same. like Renala, Rilana, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so, like, that's, like...
I've heard it's pretty incestuous as well, in, like, classic
which is, like, you know, classic...
fashion.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I do wonder how much... Because he's always said he didn't do much of the DLC, I don't think, but he's done the world building, but not the actual story, so I don't really know. Yeah. I'm interested to always see, like, where that crossover ends and starts. But yeah, like, I think it's intriguing and interesting enough for it to definitely work as, like, some kind of... I can see it being a Game of Thrones-esque adaptation. Just even the lead up to...
like a TV series, kind of like, you know, like the years before, kind of talking about...
Like, when...
Like, yeah,
because, like, you know the ring isn't a ring, right? You know it's not actually a ring. So, like, I don't know. Like, the shattering of the ring into the shards and stuff. Like, I feel like there's a cool story they could tell there. But yeah, I think it's a good idea, personally.
Yeah.
I've seen some people who are, like, purists, who are like, no, it's, like, meant to be told this way. And it's like, no, I don't think...
Yeah, and, like, random notes and stuff you pick up in derelict caves.
Or, like, you find, like, an old shoe, like, in a cave, and they're like, oh, that belonged to Marika, and she's the goddess of...
What are you
like,
talking about?
Yeah, but that's what I mean, like, a 40-minute video on a shoe in a cave. Like, that's why I think that we need a TV series for people like Shannon.
How the author intended.
Anyway.
Yeah, sounds good.
About...
All right, I have a rapid-fire question for you both as well.
Was that not rapid-fire?
That was the rapid-fire question. No, I just kept that one tight. But this is a rapid-fire question. A man in the UK has been jailed after being caught carrying a replica 6-inch Zelda Master Sword. Now, I didn't think that was particularly long myself, but I am curious, what video game merch...
It's an average length, Ewan.
It's an average length, yeah. What video game merch do you have that you no longer want to be seen with in public? Do you have some embarrassing video game merch that you're hiding from us? Shannon's reaching for something straight away.
Yeah, there's lots of things I could reach for.
You did kind of reach, like, below the waistline as well, so I was not quite sure what we were about to see.
My 6-inch Master Sword.
Does that have to be something I can leave the house with?
It's just something you're a little embarrassed with. Can you name something?
I have the Borderlands 2 loot chest in my cupboard. That's, like, pretty gross and embarrassing, I feel.
It's very much, not your brand, I suppose.
No, it's not at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I used to just buy anything.
Every time I use this, it's dusty. This guitar, even in my house, I feel like a loser, so I definitely wouldn't be taking that.
Your guitar, yeah, that's fair. Imagine you just, like, rock up at a party with your plastic guitar. I'll provide the music for you, everyone. Mine, I'm sure there's a few I can name, but I distinctly remember having a Sackboy t-shirt that was him in the astronaut suit, and it was a massive print, like, full-size kind of print right to the bottom edge of the t-shirt. I think I wore it for a job interview when I applied for the Toys R Us job. That Star Fox statue's lit. You should be embarrassed by that.
I am embarrassed by this because it makes me look like a weird furry. Like, why do I... Like,
it's true.
But anyway, this is my most embarrassing.
I think my Order 1886 Collector's Edition probably was a regret as well. I'll name that one. All right, let's play What the Wiki, the Press Start podcast game show, where the previous week's winner is part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game, and we, the contestants, must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess, with a round concluding after someone has bagged themselves 2 points. Last week, James, that was you. You extended your lead up in first place on 22 points. Myself, Shannon, and Brody are all tied in second place with 16 points. Kieran is in third with 10 points, and Harry bring up the rear on 5 points. So yeah, Shannon, we're gonna figure out who's in second place, you and I. But James, the show is yours. Take it away.
Hopefully James is being kind. Well,
I think I have been kind.
Old Donkey Kong games.
Okay, yeah. We're just going to name Donkey Kong levels.
I need a clean sweep again.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay, these entries are kind of shit, so I apologise, but we'll see how we go.
That's the fun with the Wikipedia.
Yep. But why are they shit? That's the question. Maybe that's a hint. Maybe it's something we don't know much about. The game is an upcoming video game in a series published by somebody for a console.
Oh, so many blank spaces. Okay.
Yeah. The game has the player control somebody and features an art style similar to a 2019 remake in the same series.
Ewan.
Players will Yes, Ewan.
Is this The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom?
Oh my god, Ewan, it is.
Excellent.
Wow.
Let's go.
Congratulations.
I wanted to say Echoes of Time so bad, but I knew that wasn't right. I keep getting that title confused.
That's fine. Okay. We're listening, both. Shannon, eyes up.
I want
the why I keep
You didn't say
losing.
anything about that game.
And yet Ewan got it. So
Yeah.
okay, so Ewan won, Shannon none. The game features a modernized third-person camera system. The main character is seen exploring environments seen in the original game, but yes, Ewan.
Is this Silent Hill 2? Let's go!
Wow. He deserved it.
I am living in your head rent-free, James. Rent-free.
Yeah, you are.
Literally.
Okay.
Should stitch that up.
Can we do the third one just to see
That
if
is a
Shannon might have got
clean
it?
sweep. Let's go.
It is a clean sweep, but
Bonus
full
point.
sympathy round
Yeah.
for Shannon. The game is an action-adventure game similar to its predecessors and developed with an upgraded version of its engine, utilizing dynamic lighting and environmental interactions with new enhancements such as breakable props and allowing players to manipulate shadow. Yeah.
Dead Rising. Deluxe Remaster.
No, sorry.
I don't know.
And use a grappling hook for parkour. The game's open world, whose size is comparable to that from a game previously in the series, progresses through seasons, each affecting gameplay, including frozen water, icicles in winter. Yes, Ewan.
Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Wow, Shannon, what's going on?
I've had a long day.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, that's just 3 games of many that I'm looking forward to this year.
Hell yeah.
That's why I picked.
Yeah, we got a bunch still to look forward to this year. But with that, let's bring an end to what was this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice. Follow us at pressstart.au and visit the site at pressstart.com.au. Will the Nintendo Switch 2 be announced tomorrow? Will you see the article first on Press Start? We don't know, but it's going to keep Shannon awake all night thinking about it now. And we've been joined today by the man himself, Shannon.
Yeah, you can follow me at Shannon Grixty, bringing you exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 updates on all social platforms.
And just doing a marvellous job hosting What the Wiki, I have to say, James. It was, of course, James.
Yes, you can find all the updates about me and my finger on X at ATJMZ.
Isn't there, there's a thing about fingers in Elden Ring, right?
There is the furled finger.
Yeah. Do you think that, maybe...
I've got my very own.
Maybe it's some curse...
I'm the chosen one.
The ring sort of thing, where it's, coming out of the screen and getting you. Is that...
No. Let's wrap this up, Ewan.
And I've been your host, Ewan. You can follow me on socials at Ewan_Roxburgh. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, happy gaming.
Bye.
Bye.